let's dedicate the shiur in the soul of Esther Kaden bat Ketzia, Mordechai ben Rahma, Tamar bat Zeaba, Farha bat Salha, Malka Regina bat Joy, Yaakov Salomon ben Farha, Yafta bat Kalman, Nahum Ze'ev ben Israel, Shmuel ben Dodo, ואליהו מאיר בן פרחה, נשמתם תהיה צרורה בצור החיים. Also in the health of ליאורה בת מרים, נשה נג'י בן פרחה, הרב משה בן באיה בתיה, הרב משה בן דבורה, הרב שלמה יהודה בן דליה, הרב יצחק בן ימנה, הרב אברהם בן מרינה, הרב שמעון ציון בן חנה, דבורה בת אשתר, שינה קהילה בת חנה, מרדכי דוד בן לאה, יהודה הלל בן שולמית לאה, חיים נחום בן פסח רזה הכהן, ברוך בן שרה חיינה, יהודה בן אליעזר, מאיר בן יהודה, גבריאל בן חיה שינה לאה, פסח יצחק בן אלה, איילה עדן בת רבקה, צבי בן חווה, מלכה בת רחל, יעל בת דורית, חווה בת שרה גיטול, אורנה בלומה בת מרים. Please God, רפואה שלמה to them ולכל חולה ופצועי עמו בית ישראל בכל מקום שהם. רבותיי, we gonna do today chapter 26, but before I just would like to do a quick revision on chapter 25 and also לרפואת התינוק, כן. רפאל ציון בן מיכל
רבקה.
סטיבן?
מיכל רבקה.
Okay, Stephen.
מיכל
רבקה. Please God, רפואה שלמה. Okay, I would like to do a quick revision on chapter 25, just to remind us what we learned, and then we move to verse 26. We explained that chapter 25 called in the name Naval HaKarmeli, okay? Also, we explained that when it was the time of the shearing of the flock of Naval, David HaMelech sent 10 of his Everyone can hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. We explained that when it's come to the time of shearing, David HaMelech sent 10 of his men and to ask Naval, please, to help them with food for him and for his men. And we explained that Naval, instead of showing gratitude for all the goodness that David HaMelech and his men done for him while he wasn't with his flock in the Carmel, okay, he instead shouted them, embarrassed them, and chased them away. Okay, David HaMelech received the men come back, and they told him what happened. When David HaMelech heard what happened with Naval HaKarmeli, he got so cross that Hazal explained that he put a bed din, and then the paskin that Naval, that because that he embarrassed David HaMelech, that was a king, and he embarrassed his men, he's obligated for the punishment of death, him and all the male in his family. David HaMelech took an oath in the name of the Almighty that he will kill Naval and all the male in his family. Then what happened, David HaMelech, after he made the decision, he took 400 men with him, while 200 look after the camp, and they gone down to the Carmel, to the house of Naval HaKarmeli, and that was the situation that when David HaMelech met with Abigail, because one of the servants told Abigail what happened between the men of David and Naval with her husband, and she immediately realized that she had to do something drastically. If she's not going to do that, a disaster going to happen. So immediately she took food. We explained she took bread, she took lamb, she took fruit, wine, and etc., and she sent it to David HaMelech. And she rode on a donkey behind them. And when she met David HaMelech, she came down off the donkey and she bowed down to David and she asked David HaMelech, okay, please to forgive her, it's her fault. And she managed to convince him. And David HaMelech then thanked her and he said to her, thank you that helping me not to kill a Jewish soul from Israel. Okay, we explained that Nabal after that made a great feast, a big feast. He even didn't realize that something missing. That what it means something missing, all the food that Abigail given David HaMelech and his 600 men, he didn't even feel anything missing. And Abigail waited for the next day, and she said to him, what have you done? And he shouted on her, we explained. And then Akadosh Baruch Hu waited for Naval for 10 days, because it was the 10 days of Aseret Yemei Tshuva, because that situation happened in Rosh Hashanah, that he make the feast. Akadosh Baruch Hu waited for him for 10 days. When he didn't done Tshuva, Akadosh Baruch Hu took Naval. Naval passed away, Naval HaKarmeli. We explained that David HaMelech sent his men to ask Abigail, would she willing to marry him? When Abigail heard that, she took 5 of her maidservants and she rode to the camp of David HaMelech. David HaMelech married her and he took her as a wife. Not only that, Hazal explained that in the end of the chapter, that David HaMelech took another woman and her name is Ahinoam. And that's basically how chapter 25 ended up. Now we're in chapter 26, and I see that our Baal Kore is not with us for some reason. I think that he's in Israel. He might not going to be. So I don't know. Stephen, I don't know if you have the book of Shmuel with you in English. Can you read it for us? Stephen, I don't know if you can hear me.
To go and check, Rav. I'm going to go and check now.
I see that Stephen can't hear me. Okay. Frank, do you have the book of Samuel, just in case if Stephen doesn't have? Orna?
Rabbi, I think Stephen said he's going to get it. Excuse me.
Yes, I know, but I don't know. You say you're going to look if you have. If not, Orna, can you read for us in English?
Yeah, no problem. I'm here.
Just in case. You have the book
Okay.
in
Yeah,
English.
right in
Okay, so
front of
let's see
me.
if Stephen have it. If not,
Okay.
you're going to read for us.
Oof. Kavod.
Let's see if Stephen have it. I don't know where Stephen going to look, but I'm going to start, and I'm going to start until Stephen come. I'm going to read it in Hebrew, and then Stephen can start in English. So the prophet tell us in verse 26, look what it says. Vayavo hazifim el Shaul hagivata. What it means hagivata, we'll explain. Le'emor, hello, David mistater begiv'at ha'chalifa.
I've got the book.
Okay.
I have the book.
Chapter 26.
Sorry?
הלא דוד מסתתר בגבעת החקילה על פני יישומון. Sorry, Orna, but thank you very much, Orna, once again.
Prefer Stephen to read any day. Thank you, Rabbi.
Pleasure. Stephen, chapter 26, verse 1.
I'm just getting my page here, Rav. Hang on. 5. Okay, it says,
We can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I'm just trying to find my place, so I've just want. Okay. And Zilam came to Shaul at Gibeah, saying, "Does not David hide himself in the hills of Hakilah, which is before Yeshimon?"
Stephen, please speak to the microphone. No one can hear you.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Rav. It says.
No.
So the writing is a bit small,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Read it again.
But Shaul, I'm just trying to get the verse 1. But Shaul had given. Okay, then it says, and Zilam came to Shaul at Gibeah, saying, "Does not David hide himself in the hills of Hakilah, which is before the Yeshimon?" Is that the one you're looking at, Rav?
Yes. What's happening? That's it. Exactly. So we read verse 1, and I will explain. First of all, Rabbi, I want to do introduction for that chapter. We explain that David HaMelech, the Midrash in Tehillim, tell us that David HaMelech asked the Almighty 3 things. He didn't understand why the Almighty created fullness in the world, why people are crazy in the world, why there is people, not full box of chocolate. And we explained that David HaMelech got the answer when he came to Achish, the king of Melech Gat, Achish Melech Gat, that we explained that was the brother of Goliath. And then he asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me a bit of this fullness that you brought to the world. And he acted like a fool, and he behaved like a fool. And Achish Melech Gat said to his servant, please take him away from me. The second time that it happened, David HaMelech asked, why, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you created in your world spiders? I don't know what spiders. What's so good about spiders? And David HaMelech got the answer when he was in a cave. When Shaul, King Saul, entered the cave, and the spider immediately make the spider web towards the end part of the cave. And Shaul realized that no one walk here, and that's how David HaMelech been saved. The third question that David HaMelech asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why did you create flies in your world, mosquitoes? Why did you create mosquitoes in your world? What's so good about mosquitoes? And tonight we're going to give the answer. In verse 1, the prophet telling us that, continuing telling us the relationship between David HaMelech and King Saul. And the prophet described that the member of the Zifim, okay, they coming once again to Shaul HaMelech and talking Lashon Hara. They knew that Shaul HaMelech loved Lashon Hara. They come and they start telling him that David HaMelech actually hiding in a place that called Givat HaHachilah. Okay? And that's actually in the front of Midbar Yesumo. But it say here that Vayavo Azifim El Shaul HaGivata. What does it mean, HaGivata? They came to Givat Shaul, the Zifim that was in the south of Israel, by the Judean desert, walk all the way to Jerusalem to tell Shaul HaMelech, listen, David HaMelech is actually in a wilderness. Which wilderness? Judean desert. He's not far from us. In verse 2, we'll see what's happening, what the prophet telling us. ויקום שאול וירד אל מדבר זיף ואיתו 3,000 איש בחורי ישראל לבקש את דוד במדבר זיף. בכבוד, סטיבן.
I'm getting there.
Verse 2.
I'm just trying to get it right. But Shaul had
Stephen?
I'm just trying to get the right verse, Rav. Just a sec. Then Shaul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. And Shaul encamped.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Verse 3. That's it. To Midbar Ziph. Here the prophet tells us that Shaul, when he heard that David HaMelech is in Yesumun, in the wilderness of Yesumun, he got hurry up and he took 3,000 men with him. Listen to that, 3,000 men. And immediately he going down to where? To catch David HaMelech, to search and to catch David HaMelech, to kill David HaMelech. מבחורי Israel. What it mean מבחורי Israel? The Mefarshim explained that Shaul HaMelech took with him the best, the elite soldier. The best soldier that he had, he took with him to join him to catch David HaMelech. But here comes the question. In chapter 24, we learn that Shaul HaMelech took an oath to David HaMelech, and he said to him in the name of the Almighty that he will never chase him, he will never harm him, he will never do anything bad to him. The Mefarshim asked, oh, what's happened here? What's happened here, Shaul? What made you suddenly decide to change your mind? You took an oath, and you decide that you suddenly going to go and kill David HaMelech. What's happening here? Rabotai, that's Shaila been asking in Yerushalmi Gemara. And Hazal explained like this, what's happened. Why did Shaul change his mind and decide now again to go and chase David HaMelech? Shaul had a minister of defense, okay, or the chief of staff, Sar HaTzava. Who was that? Avner ben Ner. Avner ben Ner, okay? Avner ben Ner say to Shaul HaMelech, listen, I don't understand, how can you believe that David HaMelech have you in a cave and didn't kill you? David HaMelech, if he'll have any chance, he will chop your head off. Give him the chance and he will kill you. He said, but look, he had the corner of my garment. He said to him, listen, Shaul, what's happened? That when we was chasing David HaMelech, your garment being caught by a bush, a thorny bush, that called sirah. And that thorny bush cut part of your garment. And you know, David HaMelech is a very tactical man, very smart man when it comes to war. And he saw it, he found it, and he climbed up and he held it in his hand, and he told you that he cut it. But a matter of fact, in reality, if David HaMelech had you in his hand, you wouldn't be here. So therefore, I don't think that David HaMelech cut the corner of your garment. David HaMelech found it on a bush, and he didn't want you to chase him anymore. So he came with a different technique, and he said, listen, I cut the garment and that. He said to him, but you look, you and me, before you enter to release yourself in a cave, we checked the cave. We saw that the spider webs was full. No man walked there. So don't let people fool you. Shaul HaMelech accepted that Lashon Hara, Hazal say in Yerushalmi, And he said, I took an oath, but I took an oath because David HaMelech mislead me. And if David HaMelech mislead me, that's not considered oath. And I'm going to go now with extra anger. And that's what made Shaul say, Hazal in the Gemara Yerushalmi, that Shaul and his men coming again to chase David HaMelech to try to catch him. In verse 3, look what it says. ויחון שאול בגבעת החכילה, אשר על פני הישומון, על הדרך, ודוד יושב במדבר, וירא כי בא שאול אחריו המדברה. בכבוד, סטיבן, verse 3.
Cover my lighting. Gotta get the right lighting. It says, and so all encamped in the hill of Hakilah.
Stephen, we can't hear you. Can you speak to the microphone?
And okay, sorry, Robert. This is the right. My light is very bad. And so all encamped in the hill of Hakilah, which is before Yeshimon, by the way. But David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Shaul came after him into the wilderness. David therefore sent out spies.
In this verse, the prophet tell us. No, that's it. Okay,
I've got it.
No, that's it. Verse 3, that's verse 4. In this verse, the prophet described that Shaul HaMelech actually camped with all of his men in the middle of the road of Givat, in the hill of Hakilah, Givat HaHakilah, exactly opposite the wilderness of Yeshimon. But David HaMelech and his men was deep inside the wilderness of the Judean desert. Okay? David HaMelech and his men realized that Shaul arrived to the wilderness. Let's see here what's happened. וישלח דוד מרגלים, וידע כי בא שאול אל נכון.
David therefore sent out spies and understood that Shaul was. Can you hear me, Rav? David therefore sent out spies.
Yeah. Continue.
Understood that Shaul had come. Sorry, and had come for a fact. He had actually come
for a fact. What it mean? What it mean for a fact? We'll explain.
That he actually
in this
came.
Verse, in this verse, the prophet described that David HaMelech sending spies to check why Shaul came to the wilderness. Why is it so important that suddenly Shaul arrived in the wilderness? David HaMelech wanted to give Shaul the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Shaul came with his men to do practice with the soldier in a wilderness. Sometimes an army do practice, and David HaMelech wanted to give Shaul the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Shaul and his men practicing, doing practice in a wilderness. But when David's spies came back, they told David HaMelech that Shaul came to the wilderness of Ziph, and it was clear that he's coming to look for you. The Malbin, Rabbi Meir Lebush Ben Yehiel Michiel Weiser, he born in the Ukraine. He born 216 years ago. He explained that David HaMelech knew exactly where Shaul and his soldier are actually camping. There is a reason for it. We'll see now. In verse 5, ויקום דוד, ויבוא אל המקום אשר חנה שם שאול. וירא דוד את המקום אשר שכב שם שאול, ואבנר בן נר שר צבאו, ושמואל שוכב במעגל, והעם חונים סביבותיו.
And David arose and came to the place where Shaul had encamped. And David saw the place where Shaul lay, together with Avner the son of Ner, the captain of his host. And Shaul lay within the barricade, and the people were camped around him.
Okay, here the prophet tells us something very interesting, that David HaMelech decided himself to go and check what's happening in the camp. What's happening in the camp of Shaul? And what did he see? The prophet tells us that David HaMelech see how the camp are being structured and how Shaul HaMelech and his men actually are sleeping. The prophet described that they actually sleeping like like around, one around each other. The Mefarshim explain why did they sleep in a one, like in a round circle, why in a circle. The Mefarshim explain that each one of them, if something happened, they can see each other from all different corners. That means when you sleep round, you can see everywhere. The Mefarshim explain how did they sleep. What did David HaMelech saw? He saw that it was a big round circle that all the soldier was. And then was another small circle in the middle that Shaul HaMelech slept, and the minister or the chief of staff, whatever you call him, Avner ben Ner, was sleeping right next to the king Shaul. That means in the middle of that circle, Shaul was sleeping, and Avner ben Ner next to him. Let's see what else happening.
Verse 6, right?
ויען דוד ויאמר אל אחימלך החיתי ואל אבישי. Verse 6, yeah. ואל אבישי בן צוריה אחי יואב לאמור, מי ירד איתי אל שאול אל המחנה? ויאמר אבישי, אני ירד עמך. בכבוד.
Then answered David and said to Avimelech, Avimelech the Hittite,
Stephen,
and Abishai,
verse 6.
Yes, I'm reading it, Rav. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rav? Can you hear me, Rav?
Yeah.
Okay. Can
Yes,
you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Then answered David and said to Avimelech the Hittite and Avishai the son of Zeruiah, brother to Joab, saying, who will go down with me to Shaul to the camp? And Avishai said, I will go down with thee. So I think that's where, yeah.
David HaMelech, after he saw what's happening in the camp of Shaul, David HaMelech decided that he's going. And he asked Ahimelech, okay, and he asked Abishai, he asked them too. He asked them, which one of you, that's by the way, it's Ahimelech HaHiti, okay, from Het, okay? He asked each one of them, which one of you want to come with me? Abishai was the nephew of David. Rabotai, Abishai, the son that it tells us here of Yoav ben Tzuriah. Yoav ben Tzuriah married the sister of David, and they have a son, Avishai. And Avishai the son of the sister of David, say, I'm coming with you. I'm going to go with you together to the camp of Shaul. What courage you need. Look what's happening in verse 7. ויבוא דוד ואבישי אל העם, לילה, והנה שאול שוכב ישן במעגל, וחניתו מעוכה בארץ מראשותיו, ואבנר והעם שוכבים סביבותיו.
So David and Avishai came to the people by night, and behold, Shaul lay sleeping within the barricade, and his spear stuck in the ground at his head, and Avner the people lay round about him. Again, it tells us about being right. We knew that from the previous verse.
Okay. In this verse, David HaMelech, the prophet, described that David HaMelech and Avishai arrived at midnight, okay, to the camp of Shaul, and we see everyone sleeping. Everyone sleeping in a circle, and the spear of Shaul, that Shaul always walked with a spear like the king in that time, okay, was by his head. Not only that, who was sleeping next to him? The minister of, or the chief of staff, or the minister of defense, okay? Avner was right next to him. Okay, the Malbim explained that Avishai, when he saw that they managed to enter to the camp, why did they come at night? Because Shaul HaMelech came with 3,000 men. So at night, you can't really see who's that person. So Shaul, when he gone to sleep, he obviously left soldiers to stay awake, to watch, guards. And if David HaMelech and Avishai will walk as two people and they dress differently, no one will take notice. People will think that they're part of that camp. That's why David HaMelech came exactly after midnight, okay, that people wouldn't recognize him. The Malbim explained something extraordinary. When David HaMelech saw with Avishai, when they both saw Shaul lying down, that Avner next to him, and the spear is by the head of Shaul, Avishai already saw it as a sign from heaven that the Almighty given Shaul in the hand of David HaMelech, explained the Malbim. Not for nothing, the prophet tell us that they saw the spear by the head of David. Why did they telling us that? The Malbim explained to tell you that Avishai realized that he can kill who? David HaMelech can kill Shaul HaMelech. In verse 8, ויאמר אבישי אל דוד, ציגר אלוהים היום את אויביך בידיך, ואתה הכנו נא בחנית. הוא בארץ פעם אחת ולא אשנה לו.
Then said Avishai to David, God has delivered thy enemy into thy hand this day, and therefore let me strike him through with a spear to the earth at one blow, and I will not need to strike him a second time.
In chart of the Dvarim, Avishai said to David HaMelech, listen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving us that man in our hand, Shaul. Let me strike him, and I will strike him once. Once that I strike him with the spear I'll make sure that the spear gonna penetrate his body and gonna stuck in the ground. So I don't have to do it second time, and the king will be dead. And there not gonna be any chance for the king even to open his mouth or to shout. Immediately you're gonna be dead. Look in verse 9 what David HaMelech answered. ויאמר דוד אל אבישי, אל תשחיתהו, כי מי שלח ידו במשיח אדוני וניקה.
And David said to Abishai, destroy him, don't destroy him, for who can stretch out his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless and not be guilty?
And here we see that David HaMelech, we see his special character trait. David HaMelech always treated King Saul with the utmost respect. Not only that, David HaMelech realized because Shaul been anointed, we're not allowed to harm him. He's anointed by the Almighty, we're not allowed to harm him. And he said to Abishai, listen, if you're going to strike him, if you're going to kill him, who you think that's going to become unguilty in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? There is no such thing going to happen. That you think that the person going to kill a king that's been anointed by the Almighty and he going to be found unguilty in heaven, that's not going to happen. Therefore, don't strike him. In verse 10, ויאמר דוד, היי אדוני, כי אם אדוני יגפנו, או יומו יבוא ומת, או במלחמה, וירד ונספה. What's happening here? Chavod.
And David said, as God lives, the Lord shall smite him. On this day shall come to die, or he shall descend into battle and be swept away.
Okay, what's happened? Here David HaMelech said to Abishai, listen, I'm taking an oath to you in the name of the Almighty that Shaul not going to live for too long. HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually will punish Shaul and will kill him. Maybe with a plague, okay, he will die sooner than you think, or maybe die a natural death, I don't know. But I can guarantee you that Shaul gonna die quickly. It might gonna be by the war, it might gonna be by the plague, I can't tell you. But Shaul gonna die. He's not gonna live for long. The Mefarshim asks, what's happening? How did David HaMelech knew that Shaul gonna die so quickly? Ask the Mefarshim. The Radak, Rabbi David Kemhi, born in France 865 years ago. Listen what he explained. He explained that, you know how he know that he's going to die so quickly? Because the prophecy that he had with the prophet Samuel. When he had the prophecy with prophet Samuel, he told him that he's going to die. Another explanation that the Mefarshim explained, that David HaMelech knew that King Saul took an oath. And if an oath that you took in the name of the Almighty and you break that oath, you have to be punished. No harm can happen to him, but he's going to pay for it. You have to pay for it. Rashi HaKadosh explained that David HaMelech here took an oath that he's not going to harm Shaul. Why? That Chas v'Shalom, the evil inclination, going to entice him to kill Shaul. We'll see why. In verse 11, look what it says. חלילה לי מאדוני משלוח יד במשיח אדוני, ועתה כחנה את החנית אשר מראשותיו, ואת ספחת המים, ונלכה לנו.
Heaven forbid that I should stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed. But I ask you, take now the spear that is in his hand and the jar of water, and let us go.
Okay, in this verse we see something very interesting. David HaMelech said to Abishai, God forbid that we're going to kill Shaul HaMelech. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu anointed him. David HaMelech continued saying to Abishai, I want you to take the spear and I want you to take the jar of water like by his head. The Mefarshim explain that the reason that David HaMelech wanted to take the spear and the jar of water, because those the two personal things that the king had. Why? The king in daytime used to walk with a spear. The jar of water was the personal thing that Abishai used to wash himself, maybe used to wash himself. That was belonged to the king. And David HaMelech wanted specifically these two parts, and we'll see why Dafkat these two. The Malbin explained that the main reason behind all of that, that the spear showed the strength of the king, okay? That without the king fighting. And then David HaMelech wanted to take something much more less than a spear, that the jar of water. We'll see in verse 12 what's happening. Something very interesting happening here. And look what it says. ויקח דוד את החנית ואת ספחת המים מראשותי שאול, וילכו להם, ואין רואה, ואין יודע, ואין מקיץ, כי כולם ישנים, כי תרדמת אדוני נפלה עליהם. What's happening here?
So David took the spear and the jar of water from Shaul's head, and they went away, and no man saw it, or knew it, or woke up, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from Hashem fell upon them.
If you look carefully, David HaMelech in a previous verse said to Abishai, take the spear and take the jar of water. In this verse, the prophet tells us, no, David HaMelech took it. David HaMelech took the spear and the jar of water. What's happening here? Rabotai, the Mefarshim explained that David HaMelech realized, and he was worried, that if Abishai gonna take the spear, he might not gonna stand the Metzudot David, Rabbi David Alchela, that bought in Galicia 338 years ago, explained that it might gonna be a chance. David was worried that if Abishai gonna see, if he gonna take the spear and he gonna see Shaul HaMelech sleeping, he might not gonna stand in the temptation, and he gonna strike Shaul HaMelech. Therefore, David HaMelech say, I can't take a chance. I cannot take a chance. I'm gonna do it myself. And David HaMelech took the spear and the jar of water. But look, but then the prophet continued and tell us something very interesting. Look what it said, and we have to understand what's hiding behind it. וילכו להם, ואין איש רואה, ואין איש יודע, ואין איש מקיץ, כי כולם ישנים, כי תרדמת אדוני נפלה עליהם. The prophet said no one saw them, no one knew that they was there, no one wake up, okay? They all was asleep. Why? Because a deep sleep, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on them. What's the Hidush here? What's the Hidush? Rabotai, there is a Midrash in Tehillim. The Midrash in Tehillim tell us a story like you can't believe. And now we're going to answer the third question that David HaMelech asked. The Midrash in Tehillim tell us that when David HaMelech took the jar and the spear, in specific moment, Avner turned and he locked David HaMelech with his legs. David HaMelech stood there. Nothing can open the leg of Avner. Avner was so strong, Hazal say, that it's like 3,000 ton clamp on the leg of David HaMelech. David HaMelech said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hazal say in the Midrash, I know that nothing going to happen to me, but what, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what are you trying to show me? And while David HaMelech thinking what HaKadosh Baruch Hu trying to show him here, he saw a flea coming and biting the leg of Avner. Avner didn't even wake up. He scratched his leg and he turned, and he's opened his legs and he turned. David HaMelech immediately jumped and escaped and he ran away. Said David HaMelech, now HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you've given me an answer for the three questions that I asked. Why did you created fools? Why did you created spiders? And why you created fly in the world? Flea, mosquitoes. And that's explain the Mefarshim why the prophet tell us that number one, no one saw them, no one knew that there was them, no one wake up, because it was a deep sleep on that camp. And verse 13, look what it says. ויעבור דוד העבר ויעמוד על ראש ההר מרחוק. רב המקום ביניהם.
Get that now, Rav? Then
Sorry?
David went over to the other side.
13,
Stood
chapter 13.
Then David went over to the other side and stood at the top of the hill, very far off. A great space being between them.
What it means that David HaMelech crossed, David, the prophet described that David HaMelech and Abishai cross, and he say here, ha'ever. What it means, ha'ever? He say it was like a channel of water, said the Metzudot David. A channel of water was next to the camp. They crossed that running or flowing water, and David HaMelech climbed to the top of the mountain. Why Dafka to the top of the mountain? The Mefarshim explain that they explain that his voice can be heard. So David HaMelech climbed to the top, he crossed the water stream, climbed to the top of the mountain that people can hear him, but it was not such a big distance and not such a short distance. Why? Because David HaMelech kept what you call it a distance, a safe distance from Shaul and his men, so they can't catch him. In verse 14, ויקרא דוד אל העם ואל אבנר בן נר לאמור, הלא תענה אבנר, ויען אבנר ויאמר, מי אתה קראת אל המלך?
And David cried out to the people and to Avner the son of Ner, saying, will you not answer, Avner? Then Avner answered and said, Who are you that cries to the king?
In this verse, David, the prophet, described that David HaMelech actually calling the soldier. He didn't call Shaul because it's not respectable to call to the king. So what did David HaMelech done? He stood on the top of the mountain so everyone can hear. And he wake up the soldier and he wake up Avner ben Ner. Okay? When Avner heard that, okay, he said, who you are? David HaMelech said, I need some answer. He said, who, Avner said to him, who given you the right to wake up the king? How dare you waking up the king? Look in verse 15, what's happened, what David HaMelech answered. ויאמר דוד אל אבנר, הלא איש אתה, ומי כמוך בישראל, ולמה לא שמרת אל אדונך המלך, כי בא אחד העם להשחית את המלך אדונך.
And David said to Avner, are you not a valiant man? And who is like you in Israel? Why then have you not guarded the Lord the King? For there came For there came one of the people to destroy thy king, the king thy lord.
What's happening here?
Haven't done with you?
In this verse,
Haven't done
David Melech, okay, answer Avner, you are a respectable man. You are a very respectable man. A special man like you that have such an honor. And you, the bodyguard of the king. Okay? How can that you allowed people to come to the camp and to kill the king, that can kill the king while you're sleeping? The Metzudot David explained that here David the Melech actually sending a message to his nephew Abishai that wanted to kill the king. Okay? He hinting to him by that he said that people wanted to come and kill the king. He's saying a message to Abishai. You remember you wanted to kill the king and I stopped you because that's Mashiach Hashem, that's king been anointed by Hashem. In verse 16, לא טוב הדבר הזה אשר עשית, חי אדוני, כי בני מוות אתם, אשר לא שמרתם על אדונכם, על משיח אדוני, ועתה, ראה, אי חנית מלך, ואת ספחת המים, אשר מראשותיו.
This thing is not good that you have done. Not. I'm just trying to find it again. This thing is not good that you have done. As the Lord God lives, you are worthy to die, because you have not kept your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the jar of water that was at his head.
In this verse, David Melech actually rebuked Avner and the soldier and tell him that they didn't fulfill the job to guard the king properly. And he took an oath, okay, that they all deserved for the punishment of death. He said, look, where is the spear of the king? Look, where's the jar of water? And the Mefarshim say, why did David Melech done it? Why did he took a risk? What's hiding behind all of it? That here David Melech wanted to show the king and his God, Avner Bener, and everyone that he could kill the king, that the king was in his hand, because now they can't tell that the garment got caught with the torn bush, any other story. No more stories. Here is the spear, here's the jug. What answer you have now, Avner? Rabotai, it's 9 o'clock. I don't know if maybe we should continue because we have another few verses and then we'll just finish that chapter. In verse 17, the prophet tell us like this, ויקר שאול את קול דוד, ויאמר הקולך זה בני דוד, ויאמר דוד קולי אדוני המלך. Verse 17.
Okay. And Shaul knew David's voice and said, is this thy voice, my son David? And David said, it is my voice, O my lord, the king.
Yes, what's happening here? Sorry, I needed just to do something. David HaMelech say, when Shaul HaMelech heard David HaMelech screaming and shouting at Avner Bener and rebuked them and the soldier, Shaul HaMelech said to David HaMelech, is that your voice, my son David? He called him his son. Why did he call him his son? The Mefarshim explained that now Shaul realized that there is no more excuse. No more excuse. David HaMelech could kill me because the spear in his hand, and the jug of water. So what is he called them? My son, David. And David HaMelech said to him, yes, my Lord, this is my voice. And verse 18 and 19, we're going to read now 2. Vayomer, David saying to King Saul, למה זה אדוני רודף אחריי, אחרי עבדו? כי מה עשיתי, ומה בידי רעה? ועתה ישמע נא אדוני המלך את דברי עבדו. אם אדוני הסיתיך בי, ירח מנחה, ואם בני האדם הארורים הם לפני אדוני, כי גירשוני היום מסתפח בנחלת אדוני לאמור, לך עבוד אלוהים אחרים.
It says, and he said, why does my Lord pursue after your servant? For what have I done, or what evil is in my hand? Now, therefore, I ask you, let my lord the king hear the words of his servants. If the Lord has stirred up against me, let him accept an offering. But if they be the children of men, cursed be they before the Lord, for they have driven me out this day from being joined to the inheritance of the Lord, saying, go serve other gods.
What's happening here? What's happening here? David HaMelech said to Shaul HaMelech, asking him, what wrong I done to you? Did I ever let you down? Did I ever let your kingship down? I always fight for you. Whatever you ask for me, I've done. So why are you chasing me? And then he said to him, if it those people that surrounding you, that you listen to them, they are forcing me to worship idols. Said the Mefarshim why. The Malbim explained, the Malbim and many of the other Mefarshim explained what it means to worship other idols. David HaMelech said to Shaul and hinting to Shaul HaMelech, because I need to flee from Eretz Israel, it's like I'm worshipping idols. And Chazal say, כל היוצא מארץ ישראל כאילו עובד עבודה זרה. That means a person that leave Eretz Israel, and you force me to leave Eretz Israel because you're listening to Lashon Hara, it's like I'm worshipping idols. In verse 20, look what's happened. ועתה, אל יפול דמי ארצה מנגד פני אדוני, כי יצא מלך ישראל לבקש את הפרעוש, אחד כאשר ירדוף הקורא בהרים.
It says, and now, therefore, let not my blood fall on the earth before the face of the Lord, for the king of Israel has come out to seek a single flea. And when one hunts a partridge in the mount, and when one hunts a partridge in the mountain.
Here, David HaMelech saying to Shaul, I'm davening to the Almighty that he will remember all the suffering that I have, and he will take the revenge in my enemy. And not only that, why is the king of Israel, such a respectable king like you, chasing a simple man like me, a man like he's a flea? You're chasing me like I'm a flea. And you, like a king, usually what they do, they chase a very, in their time used to be a custom that the king used to hunt a special birds, okay, that they used to call it kore, okay? That bird is in the name of kore. And the king used to go and try to hunt it. You're not even hunting this kind of a bird. You hunting and you trying to catch me because I'm a flea, I'm nothing. David HaMelech saying to Shaul HaMelech. In verse 21, look what's happened here. ויאמר שאול, חטאתי שוב בני דוד. חטאתי שוב בני דוד, כי לא ארע לך עוד תחת אשר יקרה נפשי בעיניך. היום הזה, הנה, הסתכלתי ואשגה הרבה מאוד.
Then Shaul said, I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will no more do you harm, because my life was so precious in thine eyes this day. Behold, I played the fool, and have erred exceedingly.
Okay. In this verse, we see that Shaul HaMelech now saying to David HaMelech, listen, I realize I was wrong. Please, I beg you, David, return and everything gonna be okay. I'm not gonna harm you anymore because I realized by that you didn't kill me. How important my soul to you. Therefore, now I realize that I made many mistakes, but that I wanted to kill you, I'm wrong. Now Shaul HaMelech admit that he's wrong. In verse 22, ויען דוד ויאמר, הנה החנית, חנית המלך, ויעבור אחד הנערים ויקחיה.
And David answered and said, behold, the king's spear, and let one of the young men come over and fetch it.
In this verse, David HaMelech said to the king, look, here's your spear. Please send one of your men to come and take the spear of the king. Said the Mefarshim, David HaMelech didn't trust Shaul anymore. The Metzudot David explained why he didn't trust Shaul, and he asked him to send them one of his youngsters, one of his soldiers, because David HaMelech was worried that if he gonna give it or he gonna send someone, Shaul might gonna kill him. So David HaMelech now lost any hope with Shaul because David HaMelech didn't want to return it himself because he was worried that Shaul might gonna harm him. Verse 23 and 24, ואדוני ישיב לאיש את צדקתו ואת אמונתו אשר נתנך אדוני היום ביד, ולא אביתי לשלוח ידי במשיח אדוני, והנה כאשר גדלה נפשך היום הזה בעיניי, כן תגדל נפשי בעיני אדוני ויצילני מכל צרה.
And the Lord required every man in his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Lord delivered thee into my hand to this day, but I will not stretch my hand against the Lord's anointed. And behold, as thy life was much esteemed this day in my eyes, so let my life be much esteemed in the eyes of the Lord. And let him deliver me out of all the tribulations.
In these two verses, we see that David HaMelech actually saying to Shaul, listen, the same like a Kadosh Baruch Hu saw that I didn't kill you, those merit will stand for me in mercy, in compassion, that the same like a Kadosh Baruch Hu delivered you into my hand and I didn't harm you, and I didn't want to hurt you, not only to harm you, okay? Please God, the Almighty will see that and will accept it, that when I'll be in the hand of the enemy, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will see it and will keep it for me as a grant that I will be safe from any danger, any situation of danger that I will be. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will save me and redeem me from any bad situation. In verse 25, with that we're going to end. I know that I took 12 minutes. ויאמר שאול אל דוד, ברוך אתה בני דוד, גם עשו תעשה, וגם יכול תוכל. וילך דוד לדרכו, ושאול שב למקומו.
Then Shaul said to David, Blessed are you, my son David. Thou shalt both do great things, and also you should prevail. So David went on his way, and Shaul returned to his place.
What's happened here? Here in this verse, Shaul, King Saul, saying to David HaMelech, I see that the Almighty bless you. Not only that, you're going to do many things and you're going to succeed. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to succeed with them because the Almighty with you. And David HaMelech now didn't go back. David HaMelech turned and didn't return to Shaul, turn back and walk away, because David HaMelech realized that with Shaul, that he listened to Lashon Hara. Who knows when the next time he can harm, he can turn his mind, he can change his mind, and he can kill him. So David HaMelech decides that he's going away, and Shaul returned to his place. Rabotai, what the message that we can learn from that verse? The Mefarshim explained that what we can learn from that verse is something very important. You can learn from here one important message, that David HaMelech was locked up by the leg of Avner ben Ner. He couldn't move anymore. That's it, finished. Until the morning. And in the morning, he's going to stand there. And when everyone going to wake up, David going to be in the hand of Shaul. But David HaMelech didn't lose hope. He said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I know that you're not going to kill me. Why? Because the king broke his oath. And if someone break the oath of the Almighty, I know that I'm going to succeed. But what happening? Why is that happening? To teach us something important. Something happen in life to each one of us. Things happen to every person. We have to understand why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us there. And when we're there, we must remember the most important message that we learn from this year, never to give up. The same like David HaMelech didn't give up. Easily he can kill, strike Shaul, and then he can strike Avner ben Ner. He didn't do it. He didn't lose hope. That means that whatever situation that we're coming, that we're facing difficulties, we have to remember Kadosh Baruch Hu is in charge. Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's the one that put us in that situation. And if he put us in that situation, we must look only at the positive thing that we can get from it. Because Hazal say, En davar ra yored min hashamayim. There is nothing bad coming down from heaven. It's very difficult to understand, but you need a lot of emunah. And that verse to teach us very important message, that we should have emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu in every situation that we are. Rabotai, I hope that you enjoyed the shiur. With that, we conclude chapter 26. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll see in chapter 27, where did David HaMelech gone? Because the prophet tells us that David HaMelech gone to his way. Where is he gone? We'll see in the next chapter what's happening. But that's the end of chapter 26. It's like a continuation situation on the story of David HaMelech and Shaul. If there is any question, bechavod, now it's the time. Bechavod. Ken, question. No question. Okay, Rabotai. I would like to take the opportunity, first of all, to thank Stephen for fulfilling for Jeffrey. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you for Dr. Les for all the beautiful update that he always updates us with. And to thank all of you again for joining us tonight, to wish you all a beautiful week ahead, that we should have Shavua Tov, and please God, all the blessing, all the best. Good night, everyone.